Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is gas versus electric fireplaces. Let's get into it. Hey, Randy, how you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. How you doing over there today?
You know what? Pretty great. I got the birds chirping outside. The sun was a-shining.
It was nice. It was a nice morning. It's clouding over a little bit now, but it was pretty nice early this morning.
Definitely grass growing time of year. I know all of our landscape pros are out there hitting it hard. We have to mow our lawn twice a week right now because it's peak growing season. And of course, I'm the dumb guy who buys the big pull-behind sprayer for behind my X-mark, and I weed and feed because, you know, I don't want them yellow dandelions out there, and now it just grows a foot at a time, man. It's like, Anyway, we're not here to talk about that, Randy. We are here to talk about fireplaces, and we have seen a move, the industry as a whole has seen a move toward electric. There's just a chunk of our society that is looking at electric and saying, man, we want to do more things using electricity versus gas. And I really don't want to talk about the, politicals behind that or anything of that nature. I just want to talk about the move toward electric and let people know what are some of the differences between gas and electric fireplaces. And it seemed like you're a good guy to talk to about that.
I might know a couple things. There's a slim possibility there. Yes, but no, it is a pretty common question. It comes up pretty frequently, I guess, when it comes to the gas versus an electric. They both have their applications. Like, I mean, obviously using a gas fireplace is going to provide that authentic flame, experience. It's real flame. Obviously not like a wood burning fireplace, but it's going to give you that traditional like flame because it's a real flame. Gas fireplaces, they are definitely more efficient than they ever used to be. They're going to heat larger spaces than they used to. On the other hand, electric fireplaces have come a long ways with their technology too.
Yeah, it really depends on what you're looking for as a consumer. In my head, it boils down to one major factor, and that is heat output and what look are you looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously electric fireplaces are much easier to install, a lot less maintenance. And sometimes they can be, from a cost point, they're cost effective in terms of the investment of that fireplace itself.
Well, let's hone in on that real fast. I mean, what are you talking about, a cost difference in the unit itself, or are you talking a cost difference in the project as a whole, or both?
I would say a combination of both, because when it comes to a gas fireplace, you're going to have to consider all of your venting materials, how that fireplace is going to vent. You're going to have to run gas lines to the fireplace. You're still going to have to run electricity to the fireplace. So there's definitely a lot more work for your subcontractor there, which in turn is going to cost you more money through him or her versus an electric fireplace, which you're really just running power to it and plugging it into an outlet or hardwiring it and creating a hole in the wall set. Or in my case, like for example, I have 4 electrics at my house, and 2 of them are just hanging on the wall like a picture frame.
Simplicity, huh? You can just hang them right on the wall. So my house has 3 fireplaces, 2 gas, 1 wood burning. And I got to be honest, I'm at that stage in life where I just put a cap on with a damper on the wood burning one because I don't like holes in my house, just to be honest.
Right.
I debate every day. I've got a cord of wood out there, but as we talk about what changes we want to make to the house, I firmly put my foot down and say, no, we're not doing anything. It's a beautiful home. And then I sit there and stare at that fireplace and go, wow, an insert would be nice. Would I go gas? Would I go electric? And you went through exactly what I'm thinking. Let's talk to the fact that there is some work to the electric fireplace in terms of they do like them to be on their own circuit. So you do have to run a wire, which is an electrician to pull that for you. And then usually your question is, do you want the 110 or 220 version, right?
Correct. Yes, because, so depending on the preferences of the space you're using it in and what the heating needs are for that particular space, for example, with an electric unit, you can, at the 120, we usually up to about 5,000 BTUs of heat. And if you go to the 220, then you're going to be close to that, anywhere from 9,400 to 10,000 BTUs of heat that's available on an electric unit. Where your gas units, there again, depending on that space and the heating needs, you could get a unit up to 60,000 plus BTUs to really heat that space up.
Yeah, so again, it boils down to what kind of heat do you want for the space, and then cost effectiveness, right? I said it earlier, the heat and then the look. Do you really want real flame? Then gas is the way to go.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because when you think of gas fireplaces, they're, like we talked about, you're running the gas line, because the gas fireplaces can use either natural gas or propane, of course. They're creating the real flame through the burner. And then the ventilation you need to do, the authentic flame is going to produce a lot greater heat output. Now the electrics, on the other hand, when it comes to that flame, typically it's going to have either some new technology of some video playing or LED lights with a heating element to simulate flames and produce heat on the units, but they don't require any venting or gas lines. So electric units, we see a lot of time, energy, engineering, technology going into them. They just offer convenience, just the ease of installation and safety. But of course, the flames are not real like a gas fireplace is. Of course, when you're talking gas fireplaces versus electric, there's always, as we always talk about, there's some safety things to always consider there as well.
Yeah, safety. You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast. Let's buzz through some of that then. On the safety side for gas, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so for gas, right away you want to think of, most of your gas fireplaces are direct vent that you see in a lot of these houses. So they have like a solid glass panel on them, okay? So it's a real flame. It's producing a ton of heat. And with that glass, there is the risk of somebody possibly getting burned. Now, when those direct vent fireplaces go out, they all ship with like a child protective screen to minimize that effect and to reduce that heat. So if somebody does hit it, it's not essentially like, I hate to use the extreme, but without that child protective screen, that glass will get really hot and it could really peel the skin off of your finger.
And that rule went into effect, about 10 years ago? They had to start 8, 9, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what year it was because we've been doing it for so long now. But yeah, some manufacturers jumped on it early, even before the requirement was there, just because they saw a need for it. But it is mandatory now when these direct vent units go out. But the other things we talked about, gas fireplaces, they require venting. So you got to make sure that you have proper ventilation for the venting, making sure the venting is installed properly. You want it because you don't want to have any kind of carbon buildup inside of that. You're going to want like carbon monoxide detectors within proximity of that, gas, because it is gas. It's gas fireplace. So we want to make sure that those gas lines are ran correctly and they're all done by a professional for, checking for leaks. And then with the gas fireplaces, the maintenance, typically, you always want to follow the manuals of these manufacturers because their verbiage is going to be different, but there's going to be a little bit of, for the burner, the ventilation, the caps, things like that, the pilots. There's always going to be a little bit of maintenance that needs to be done annually there to make sure that it's operating properly. Just to kind of give you an idea, for example, sometimes if a direct vent fireplace that vents, out the side of your house isn't used for a long time, birds could get in there and build a nest, and then that blocks that flue pipe. So that's why it's important to check, those things. That
was one of the things I was going to mention too is when you talk venting, where that venting comes out is important to keep in mind as well. I had a friend who they built a house and then the deck was not on the back is usually how they buy them around here. So he had a deck installed and his pro that put the deck in put the staircase right next to the vent.
Oh, for the fireplace.
Yeah. And so during the early spring or the late fall, they would flip the fireplace on and you would walk down the steps on the deck and you could touch it. And it gets hot, guys. I mean, that thing gets smoking hot. So
it gets extremely hot.
Yeah, you have to pay attention. Now that was on the pro side that built the deck. He should have talked them through, hey, let's put the stairs in a different spot. But even building a deck off the back of the house, if you have a fireplace coming off the back, you have to be aware of where that thing is and think about traffic. And, if you've built the deck across the entire back, then somebody could stand right next to it with their ear and go, ooh, I'm keeping warm. Or burn themselves, right?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a number of challenges that come with a side vent, direct vent, when you start to do add-ons. That's for sure.
And it's what we love to talk about is just be safe, because people want to, we're so inspired nowadays. I won't even say generation. This is just our culture today is inspired continuously via all of the social media pieces that you have available to you. You can find inspiration. It's not like when we were kids, Randy, and you'd walk through the store and see the thousands of magazines on the wall and you'd buy one and find inspiration from it. Now you can just scroll and scroll and scroll and find inspiration. I think it's important for the human psyche to be inspired. I also think that when you're inspired, you need to curb it with safety when it comes to fire, right? So on the gas side, there's a lot of things to consider. What about on the electric side?
Electric side, I can speak to mine, the one, electric fireplaces that I have, because they don't produce a real flame. So there's really no risk of there's no risk on the glass front of it of getting burnt, direct contact to it. However, I will say, for example, if we're using the heat on any one of our fireplaces, I still will keep my grandson away from, the heater where the heat comes out, because the grill could get a little bit warm. I've touched it myself, and it's not hot to where it seems like it's going to burn my finger or peel the skin off. But, it's still, you still have heat coming out there because there's a heating element on the inside that's producing heat, but definitely not like a gas. So generally, obviously, it's a lot cooler to touch. Reducing any kind of risk of burn. And then, because it's an electric unit, we don't have the concerns of combustible materials when we're building it and facing it. Literally, like I said, a couple of mine are, I put some anchors in and hung it on the wall like a picture frame right on sheetrock. There was no concern of any kind of heat transfer there that I had to worry about with the electric unit. And even though it has a heating element to it, I don't have any clearance of combustibles to be concerned about. Then, of course, there again, because it's not gas, we don't have to worry about carbon monoxides or gas leaks or anything like that. And then as far as electric fireplaces, with mine, they have a built-in feature, which is like an automatic shutoff / timer for overheating protection because of that electric little heating element that's inside of it. So if it's on for too long, it'll just shut itself off. So I think that's a really nice safety part of with my units and the electric fireplaces. And then overall, just your air quality, because there again, it's not a gas unit, so I'm not putting I don't have the risk of any kind of gas in the house. So I don't have to worry about additional ventilation or anything venting towards the outside of my house or anything like that with the electric fireplaces.
It is one of the big benefits is you don't have a hole in your house.
Absolutely. Obviously we do a lot of outdoor projects. You can put gas fireplaces outside, of course. There's some requirements based on what styles and models you go with and things like that. And what we've seen with electric is some of these manufacturers are now manufacturing units that are applicable for outside usage as well, following the manual's installation, because usually it's going to have to be undercover and things like that. However, but it's a great option if somebody, there again, doesn't want or cannot get a gas line to, maybe they're doing a Four Seasons room. It's a post-built house built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, doesn't matter, and they want to put a sunroom in. There's electric options for that nowadays. So that's another great thing about electric units.
Yeah, I was just going to say, electric is in a position right now where there are a lot of positives to buying electric. So, I don't want to say that gas is bad. Not at all. It just depends on what you want, what you're looking for.
No, it's just different. It's all about the project and the placement of the unit. Can I get gas to said area where I want to put a gas fireplace? And if I cannot, then there's the electric option, and these units are a lot different than they were back in the day when my grandmother had one and it sounded like there was a squirrel running inside of her fireplace. An electric.
Those are my favorites. Those are going to be worth money someday, Randy. Those are.
It will be, right? Exactly. It's like the King of Hearts on my bicycle as I'm riding down the road.
Yeah. So where we sit, gas versus electric, they're not pitted against each other. They're just awesome alternatives. Electrics are awesome alternatives, but I think we are seeing a subsection of folks who would just prefer electric. And gas is becoming the alternative if it's available.
Absolutely. And I see a combination a lot too, where maybe they're putting a nice sized gas fireplace in the living room, and then they're putting an electric in the bedroom. It's not just that one property's all gas, one's all electric. No, it's a combination more than I've ever seen before. Of folks, they want real fire in the living room for entertaining and things like that. And then they're totally fine with just having an electric in their bedroom. It saves them money. It's easy to install.
And the look is fantastic. I mean, way different.
Way different. They've come a long ways. We've put some in our new design center here in Auburn Hills, and they look great. Everybody loves them.
So, a lot of good options out there. Shout out to all of those folks who are making not just Me Too products, but trying to go out and really do something unique, something genuine, design and create, because it's a bit of the Wild West. It's funny, Randy, we work in an industry where one company makes a bigger firebox, so all the other companies make a bigger firebox. And, then there's their argument. They're all arguing, well, we thought of that for who. Come on, guys. Really?
Yes.
It's a bigger firebox. But there are little differences. And when you're nerds like us, you go to these shows and you go to the manufacturers and they come and visit and you learn all the different things. They're neat. But at the end of the day, people just want to sit down and watch a fire. And I have to admit, I looked in my backyard and I saw my fire pit out there. I've got it stacked up with a bunch of sticks and stuff that I've been picking up. And I want to light that bad boy so bad.
Light it up.
I just want to sit there and watch the fire. It's, for me, it is a place of peace. It's a place to just find moments of, It's the same experience with electric. It's funny to me because I never thought I would say that. But when we put that electric in, we got one from Modern Flames. It was gorgeous. Landscape Pro. I could have a similar experience just sitting watching the movement of the flames on that electric fireplace. So I hope that we've spoken enough about the differences to help folks be able to make a decision if they were kind of back and forth. But I love the place you finished at, Randy. It's a mix of both. Really, enjoy fire in every room. There's no reason why you shouldn't. So we've talked about it. Randy, is there anything else that you'd want to add to the discussion here before we sign off?
No, I don't think so. If anybody has any input that we missed, just reach out to us.
Reach out. We'd love to talk with you. And as always, Randy, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to our listeners.
You got it. Awesome. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Join us next time for The Future of Outdoor Living. We'll see you then.